And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Mock Draft Mondays here with the HighLowSports podcast. Week 1 of free agency has come and gone, and we are now back with the mock draft. And starting right off the top, we got Tennessee yet again. And surprise, surprise, we are going to give them quarterback Cam Ward out of Miami. Nothing they did so far makes me think they will go in any other direction. Will it? No, it looks like Mason Rudolph's heading back to Pittsburgh. I don't know what they think of Will Levis. So for now, until proven otherwise, we're going to roll with Cam Ward going number 1 overall to Tennessee. Next up, Cleveland Browns at number 2, making a few moves here or there. I know there is a little bit of talk. Maybe they do go with Shedeur Sanders. I think ideally they're going to want to trade back, but for this one, we will have no more trades for this draft either. As we do look down the board a little bit, there are some interesting ideas, maybe getting Armand to improve the offensive line, Jalen Walker at edge, etc. There's some options there, but we're going to go and stick with Abdul Carter, pair him with Myles Garrett, get those bookend edge rushers, terrorize Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, whoever the Steelers roll out a quarterback. They're not going to be outscoring those teams, so what they should be trying to do is get after the quarterback with those two. So we'll go Abdul Carter, arguably the best player in the draft. New York Giants, pick number 3. This is another one. Is it going to be Aaron Rodgers that goes there? Or are they going to go into the Jameis Winston category? We don't know what their quarterback situation is going to be. It is very much up in the air. So for now, because we do not know, I am going to give them Shedeur Sanders at pick 3. I feel like the fall that they're talking about with Shedeur a lot, or how he could slip, I don't think that's going to come to fruition. I think these two are going to go relatively early in the top 6. So Shedeur to the Giants. Pick number 4, New England. They need offensive line help. They need offensive help in general outside of Drake May. They just need offensive help. So we're going to give them a corner. Jokingly, as we say here, I think Travis Hunter can moonlight a little on defense and then play primarily receiver for them. I like him better as defense, moonlighting on offense long term, but they just need playmakers there. That's the best playmaker on the board. So we're going to go Travis Hunter to New England. Pick number 5, Jacksonville Jaguars. I like Mason Graham a lot here. I think he makes a ton of sense. Plugs up the middle. He takes a little bit of pressure off of Josh Allen as well as Trayvon Walker. In that division where you have the Colts that are going to run the ball, Tennessee with Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears, and then the Texans, well, we'll see what they do right now. They keep getting rid of their offensive linemen, so I don't know about that. But Mason Graham does make a lot of sense here. But I'm actually going to go with Ted McMillan. We're going to give them another receiver to pair with Brian Thomas Jr. They're going to do everything in their power to basically give Trevor Lawrence every weapon they can muster up there after trading away everything so far. So they're just going to rebuild the receiving core from the ground up with Liam Cohen. Ted McMillan going number 5 to Jacksonville. If Travis Hunter is there, I think they take him to play receiver as well. Pick number 6, the Las Vegas Raiders. A lot of steam for the Ashton Genty bandwagon right now. There is a lot of it, and I get that, and it does make sense, but I think with how deep the running back class is, they won't go in that direction yet. You got Brock Bowers, you brought in Geno Smith. Ted McMillan would have been a great pick here. Same with Travis Hunter. Receiver help, we can look. They have some good ones here. I don't think they're going to go in that direction. I do think they're going to go offensive line to stabilize things for Geno Smith. He's was under siege the last couple of years in Seattle, made some things happen, but I think they're going to go with Will Campbell out of LSU. Just try and keep Geno Smith upright. Tom Brady's part owner. He knows the importance of an offensive line. They have they can use some of their later picks for receivers, running back, etc. So we're going to take Will Campbell at pick 6. Number 7, the New York Football Jets. You have brought in Justin Fields. Offensive line continues to be a weakness. Armand makes a ton of sense here. However, I'm going to say they get cute with it. I'm going to say they take Tyler Warren, tight end out of Penn State. I think they just load up with weapons. If Justin Fields is the guy, perfect. He's going to cook with them. If not, then they know they're going to have to draft another one in a year or two. So they're going to just make everything around that position as easy as possible. Next up, Carolina at pick number 8. I like the idea of Mason Graham here, but we're going to go with edge instead. We're going to scroll down. We're going to take Shamar Stewart, the athletic phenom, out of Texas A&M. Played this last pretty much full season with a leg injury. I think he's going to find his way somehow towards the top of a lot of these boards. And Carolina, after trading Brian Burns, they do need some edge help there. So Shamar Stewart to Carolina. New Orleans, they need a lot. Offensive line, defensive line. I think Mason Graham sitting there is just a run-stopping force in the middle. You got to deal with Tampa Bay's ability to run the ball with Bucky Irving, Rashad White, and what they have going on there. Carolina, you're going to have to deal with Chuba Hubbard, Jonathan Brooks if he can get healthy, etc., and now Rico Dowdle. And then Atlanta, you got Bijan Robinson. So we're going to take Mason Graham here, just taking the best player on the board at a good value spot. Chicago Bears at pick number 10, Armand Membou. If they don't go offensive line, they've done a good job retooling in free agency as well as the trade for Joe Tooney, but I think it's better to keep going in that direction. The more bodies you have, the better it is, because Caleb's going to hold the ball a little bit. We know Ben Johnson wants to run the ball. Ashton Genty could be a lot of fun there, but I do think they're going to load up that offensive line. Ben Johnson saw how pertinent that was in Detroit, and he's going to try and do that in Chicago. So we're going to take Armin Menbu here. Number 11, San Francisco. Jalen Walker's nice, but they need offensive line help. So I'm going to give them Kelvin Banks. They really, really do need somebody to pair with Trent Williams because he can't just carry the offensive line by himself. And they really struggled last year protecting Brock Purdy as well as opening running lane. So we're going to go Kelvin Banks, offensive lineman in San Francisco. We're going to stick with it one more time. Dallas Cowboys. Now Rico Dowdle's gone. You need running back help. You brought in, you got to bring in somebody. And it makes sense to have Ashton Genty. They drafted Zeke early and it worked out. I think they do the same here. Miami at pick number 13. Javon Holland is gone, so safety is very much on the board. Offensive line is on the board. Linebackers on the board. There's a lot that they need right now. Like, they really need a little bit of everything. What we're going to do with them, let's go and check out, not offensive line, let's go check out safeties. I still really like Malachi Starks, but I'm going to give him Nick Emenwari. They're going to take the athletic phenom, could play a sub linebacker, safety, can kind of be a little bit of a 2-for-1 special here. So we're going to give them Nick Emenwari just to fill multiple spots defensively because they really need all the help they can get. Next up, the Indianapolis Colts, who surprisingly spent a lot of money in free agency. Last week, I gave them Will Johnson, who I think is an awesome corner. I think would be great here. However, they brought in a safety and multiple corners so far in free agency, so I don't think corner is going to be at the high on their list. I do think Colston Loveland is a very, very good option here for them. I think they do need tight end help. I think Tyler Warren, if he was here, would be a great pick. We do know how much the GM for the Colts loves to take edge early in the draft. But what we're going to do, let's take a look. I'm going to go with Jahad Campbell, the linebacker out of Alabama. They need linebacker help. Their linebackers are stuck in the mud more often than not. Zaire Franklin's a tackling machine, but in space, it's not pretty. Same with all of them, EJ Speed, etc. So we're going to go Jahad Campbell. They continue to load up the defense. Atlanta, if the board falls this way, you got three outstanding fits here. We're going to say they sprint the card in and they take Jalen Walker. They finally start to address edge, and they don't have to go very far. Jalen Walker and Michael Williams would be great here. Arizona, pick number 16. I'm going to go with Michael Williams. I think Jonathan Gannon's going to look. They did just bring in, I believe it was Reddick, if I'm not mistaken. Michael Williams is going to, those arms, like, my goodness, I still can't get over it. I think he's going to see that and just like, yeah, we're bringing him in. So we're going to take back-to-back Georgia edge rushers. Now at pick 17, Cincinnati, Will Johnson would be a great pick here for them. Problem is, if Trey Hendrickson is on the way out, they need edge. That's non-negotiable at this point. We're going to give them James Pierce. I do like Mike Green. I think he's a little bit better, but I think James Pierce, the SEC competition, I think he's one of those guys. I can see him going really early, being that surprise, almost like top 7 pick. And I can also see him slipping out of the first round. So we're going to split the difference here and put him at pick 17 to Cincinnati. 18 with Seattle. I think we're going to start to see a little bit of a run here, but offensive line is pertinent as well. This is tough, and they did just bring in DeMarcus Lawrence, so I don't think the edge is that high on their board necessarily. Corner, they could definitely use the help, and Will Johnson is right there. So you know what? Pairing him with Devin Witherspoon, Reek Woolen, I think Mike McDonald, is going to have a lot of fun with that. So we're going to take Will Johnson there as a value pick for Seattle. Pick number 19, Tampa Bay is going to see Mike Green sit there on the board and be like, yes, please, and thank you. We're going to get after the quarterback with him. Denver at pick number 20. Last time I really like the idea of giving Colston Loveland or Kenneth Grant, some of these other guys. After bringing in Evan Ingram, I do think there's a chance we see our second running back off the board. I like Omarion Hampton here, Trayvon Henderson. Receivers, Matthew Golden, Emeka Uboka would be great here as well. This is interesting. I like offensive line for them as well. Defense, they're pretty solid. We're going to go with receivers. We're going to take Emeka Ubuka. After getting Troy Franklin last year, you could take the top off. You got Marvin Mims, the very athletic. So I don't think Matthew Golden, even if he is a little bit better, a little bit faster, I'm going to say Emeka Ubuka here just to move the chains. The crisp route running, just a very good football player. Next up, we got Pittsburgh at 21, and I'm really curious what they're going to do about their quarterback position as well moving forward. Looking at, I think defense, they could definitely use some help. Jedi Bear makes a lot of sense, but I'm going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to give them Malachi Starks to pair with Minkah Fitzpatrick. Minkah's getting a touch older. TJ getting a touch older. We know how much they like to go on. They keep that defense built up. So we're going to say Malachi Starks. He had a much better 2 years ago than this last season, but I think the talent is still there, so I still think they're going to go in that direction. Colston Loveland to the Chargers. It still makes a ton of sense, especially now they brought in Najee Harris. so they don't running back isn't as big of a need. They still need to get weapons for Justin Herbert. So I'm going to say Colston Loveland, the little Michigan Jim Harbaugh connection. We're going to go 2 weeks in a row with that. Packers, Jair Alexander might be on the way out. Jedi Bear makes all the sense in the world. Could play all over in the secondary. If he's there, they should sprint the card to him. Minnesota, pick number 24. They have spent a lot of money, especially on the trenches. Jonathan Allen, Will Fries, Ryan Kelly. They have spent a lot on the trenches. I think they could use a little bit more. Kenneth Grant's a great value pick here. I also do look at offensive line. They could bolster up the offensive line just even more so if they want. They're just such a good team when you look at it, and they have such a good coaching staff. I think they're just going to take the best player available, which in this case is Kenneth Grant. Someone who can rotate in on that defensive line, get after it, stop the run, let Brian Flores get deep into that play sheet for 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9s where he's absolutely diabolical. So Kenneth Grant to the Vikings. 25, Houston has to take an offensive lineman here. I don't see any other alternative with how that team is built right now. So Josh Simmons, run that one to the podium. Best offensive lineman on the board. The Los Angeles Rams, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, Matthew Stafford. What would be the most Sean McVay thing to do? Add Matthew Golden just to absolutely take the top off, just explode by him. But I do think he's going to recognize offensive line could use a little bit of help. So we're going to go and give him Tyler Booker, the interior offensive lineman out of Alabama. Just to sure things up, Matthew Stafford is getting very, very old. So let's try and keep him upright. So we'll send Booker to the Rams. Pick 27, the Baltimore Ravens. Once again, a very, very Ravens pick would be to take Matthew Golden here. Just another guy that could just explode. Pair him with Zay Flowers, along with Rashad Bateman, Just give more weapons to Lamar. Give him a chance to continue to do what he is doing. But they do need some defensive help as well. They need some offensive line help. Josh Connerly is a great pick here. Gray Zabel. we're going to go a little bit out of left field here at this one. I'm going to go ahead and give them Walter Nolan. I'm going to say they look at the defensive line like it is good, but we continue to want to make it awesome. They just continue to just take a great player and make it work one way or the other. So we're going to go Walter Nolan to Baltimore. Detroit, they need defense. Basically, that is it. Defense, and defense. Corner, there are some really good options here. Safeties, I really like Xavier Watts, for example, but I don't think they're going to go safety. Defensive line, there are some really good picks here. We look at edge. Donovan's awesome. Nick Skorton's awesome. Landon Jackson. We're going to go with corner still. We're going to take Siobhan Ravel, corner out of East Carolina, to Detroit. Taron Arnold had a very rough rookie season. I think he will be better, but I think they're going to just continue to add to the secondary. Washington, receiver would make a lot of sense here, but they did bring in Deebo Samuel to pair with Terry McLaurin. I'm going to actually give them Luther Burden. I don't know if Luther Burden will drop this far. I think he can go much higher very easily, but there's a chance the receiver run just doesn't happen yet. I see them just loading up, giving Jaden Daniels all the weapons in the world, and Luther Burden out of the slot is dynamic, which leaves Terry McLaurin a lot more one-on-one opportunities. Buffalo, in the same vein, Matthew Golden does make a lot of sense. They did just bring in Joey Bosa to help with the edge. Receiver-wise, they really could use some help, but I look at the receivers left. I don't know if Matthew Golden's quite what they're looking for. I know they like Khalil Shakir. You know what? We're going to give him Matthew Golden. They need somebody to take the top off. I don't think they're going to let that person go to Kansas City this year. So Matthew Golden to Buffalo. Just somebody who can absolutely fly and could be the first receiver off the board very easily. Kansas City also kind of has to go offensive line here after trading Joe Thuney. And I think interior offensive line is where they're going to start to look towards. So we're going to go interior offensive line and get these miserable ads out of here. We're going to go with Gray Zabel, interior offensive lineman out of North Dakota State. Trading Joe Thuney, I think they're going to invest a lot in the offensive line in this offseason, as well as some more weapons. So we're going to go Kansas City here. We're going to go with Gray Zabel. Then Philadelphia, rounding out the first round. Derek Harmon, it's very much the Howie Roseman way to add an edge player here or a defensive lineman. I do think they are very prime candidates to trade out of this spot as well. I don't know if they necessarily will stay here. I think there's going to be a lot more trading in this draft, which we're going to do in later mock drafts. These early ones, I just don't like to dive too far into the trades, but we're going to have a little bit of fun with this one as well. Let's take a look at edge. I like Donovan. I think he has a good chance to be a first rounder. So we're going to end it out with them just adding another edge rusher just to add to that rotation, just to keep them going. So that's what we have for this week's Mock Draft Monday. Let us know down in the comments below what you thought, which picks you think will happen, which ones you think we missed the boat on. And be sure to, of course, let us know who you want your favorite team to take. We'll be back next Monday with another episode of Mock Draft Mondays, as well as our live show on Wednesdays as well. You don't want to miss that. We appreciate y'all so much for hanging out with us, and we'll see you all again next.